Yes, I mean, what were you able to do?
First I selected a topic.
Or you sort of agreed on a topic?
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent.
That would be, give me 1 minute. The topic would be the impact of digital credit management system on credit quality in Sri Lanka Bank.
I see. Sounds good. Sounds good. Can you repeat again?
The impact of digital credit management system, DCMS, on credit quality in Sri Lankan banks.
Oh, I see. Right.
I don't know whether I will be able to do it as a whole, but select one or two that will change.
Yeah. That's pretty much the area that you would like to do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Credit and digital.
Okay. So now, did you do the A4 write-up for this topic?
No, I don't know whether it will be a A4 write-up, but I was able to, put down the problem statement, research aim, and it was requested to see what is the motive for me to do this.
Yes,
Likewise,
yes.
I was able to do some kind of
I gave certain guidelines of a small paper for Indivari to upload on the Moodle. Have you all seen that?
Yes, the word paper.
Yes.
Yeah, we got it.
How about others?
Around 8 topics. 9
Yes,
topics.
eight kind of headlines over there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Has others also seen that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So have you all done that work?
Up to methodology, I was able to do.
Okay.
No,
I mean, can you share the
question.
screen and show us?
That's the thing, sir. I have most of it. I have written it down, so I will have to read it. If it's okay.
You'll have to read it. Okay.
Yes,
1 second. Let me see if I can share the screen. Probably I'm using a different laptop here. 1 second. Let me see. Of course, Indivari has sent me one done by one of the students who was that was Mahesh Senarat. Is Mahesh there with us here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have got your one, Mahesh. Probably we can share the screen and discuss also, but in the meantime, are you all able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what I asked Indivari to share in your Moodle. Let me put this down. I hope you can see it very clearly. I wanted you all to do a small activity, basically to write a research project summary. But before that, let me also tell you, I think there is a newcomer today, to the class. Chamila Ratnayaka. Are you there, Chamila?
Yes, sir. Good morning,
Yes.
sir.
Morning. Is it your first day, Chamila?
No. This is my 4th day, sir.
Fourth day, okay.
Induction day. Yeah.
Fine. Okay. So now you have said apparently you have not done previous research. It's okay. No worries. I think what you need to do, you need to stay focused on what we are doing. Don't also take it sort of into your head too stressful. Then this will be very difficult. You have to make it very light as possible and also funful as possible, so that you will do a quality job. So all what I asked you all to do, as you begin developing your research topic, you are required to prepare a concise summary outlining the key aspects of your proposed study. So when I say propose study, maybe you have certain things in your mind already. So I wanted to know what it is. This exercise will help you clarify your research direction and demonstrate your understanding of the research process. This is what I wanted to know, whether you are, do you have a clarity in terms of where do you get the data, who are the people you are going to interview, if at all you are doing qualitative, and where will you get the data, and how will you analyze the data, and what are you expecting out of this research? Is it just to report, or just for the exam itself? Or do you really want to understand a problem and try and find a solution for that? Or maybe you're facing a problem in your workplace already. Therefore, you are planning to do a research and find out some answers. So, so that's why I have jotted down these topics. I would first and foremost, if you see, I purposefully put the proposed research topic to the last. If you start with that, you are preoccupying your mind and your journey will not be a successful one. But first and foremost, you need to understand or explain why are you doing this research. I think I asked the other day also some of you all, why did you all choose a research master when you have plenty of other opportunities? So you must be having certain things in your mind. You should be able to explain that, what it is. Explain why you are interested in research topic, this research topic particularly. Whatever the topics or areas, maybe the topic itself is not clear to you right now, but you should be able to write, because I am working in for example, I am working in a bank and I have faced so many problems in the past. And then I have also seen the digital banking sector is developing. There are new programs coming in, new methodologies being used, customers are being asked to do certain things. Therefore, I've thought, so that could be your interest or motivation to do. And then, of course, the research aim. Now, once you have the motivation, you should also aim at certain things, even in life also. Otherwise, you will be just like, headless chicken. You are running around. You can't do a research like that. You should have a clearly defined aim. Provide a brief paragraph clearly stating the overall aim of your research, what you intend to achieve through your study. Here we are not talking about any academic writing. We are not talking about any methodologies, no, analysis, nothing. Just whatever is in your mind. I wanted, just like a school boy, you wanted to write what exactly you are aiming at through this research. Maybe there are multiple aims, or maybe there is a single aim in your research. And then, of course, it's easy. Now, once you have 1 and 2, it's very easy for you to describe the problem itself. Describe the research problem your study seek to address. So remember, whenever we are thinking about a problem, especially in the research areas, one of the mistakes or one of the errors takes place is that our focus is not clear and we do not have proper boundaries of the research area. We just like that think endlessly. You can't do a research like that. I think I've repeated it all in the past sessions also. You have to narrow it down to a smaller area. Just take it a topic like motivation. Motivation is such a huge topic. You can take it up to a level of religion if it is necessary. How did Jesus Christ motivated people to follow him? How did Lord Buddha motivated people to follow him? Or maybe Prophet Muhammad? How did they got people to follow them? They try to essentially show the truth about the life, the world, the environment, the very existence of everything. No? So they are in the pursuit of the truth, motivated people to follow them. So like that, even in your research also, you have to ask yourself what exactly I'm am I looking for? So narrow it down, write it in a simple terms. Don't make it very hard for yourself to go through all the hassle. Now, when doing this small exercise, there are some smart students you would always look at, okay, let me first have a look at a proper research paper first, and then I will have a look at the organization of the research paper, how it has been written. And there are plenty of AI tools available nowadays, and nobody can say that I don't have this help, that help. I don't think that we have that excuse like in those days. We have to physically take printouts and read and write. So, I mean, nowadays you don't have to go through this hassle. So once you have the problem statement, and then of course, it's easy for you to define objectives and research questions. Objectives essentially would explain why does this research, or what are some of your objectives through this research you are going to accomplish. And in order to do that, you will need to get into research questions. Research questions would derive from the objectives. Sometimes it's pretty much the same. Objectives and the questions are just the grammatical changes only, pretty much the same. And then of course methodology, you would ask yourself whether do you want to do a qualitative, quantitative, what are your sample size, all that, right? And theoretical framework, I said sometimes in a research, unlike in our usual newspaper essay, there is a academic way of writing, comparing, describing, all that. So for that, one of the best ways to go about it is to get a theory, which is already accepted, which is already practiced, and which is already researched and proven. So get that theory and try and explain your thing also. If it is a marketing related thing, you can always get a marketing related theory. If it is motivation or human resources management related thing, you can always look for a human resources or motivational aspect of theory. Likewise, you need to select a right theory or relevant theory. I'm not saying that you cannot use any other theories. There is always a possibility. As I said, for my research, I have used a pure marketing theory, but my research is all about skills development. That is also at the PhD level. So it was a very tough task. But then again, I was able to do that in the end. And then, of course, context and the scope. Scope is like, how deep and how broad do you want to talk about this topic? See, any topic you can keep on talking, researching. That's the beauty about the research also. Most of the research, one of the things we all write towards the end is future research areas. Once you do a proper research, you will feel like, okay, I have accomplished this. I have probably gotten the answers to my research questions. But there is always an opportunity for further studies. Maybe a future study can be done. So my invitation, if you have gotten through some of the high index research papers, look at some of those areas. Maybe you take it from there itself directly. That's also possible. So this is what I wanted you all to do, but I'm a bit really concerned that only 3 or 4 people have done it. But even that one, shall we, with the interest of time, shall we maybe take 1 or 2 and look at it, so that those students also will benefit from that? Any questions? Anything that you want to ask about this small exercise? Yeah, go ahead, Isel. Lahiru. Lahiru, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Good morning, sir. I just want to clear the part of that method, sorry, not the method, the theory. So when it comes to the theory, I'm a bit confused on what sort of a theory that we should apply, or actually I have to change my topic because I was not able to find proper details, I mean, proper clear details, clear data regarding my topic. So I have to do some modifications to my topic. So my topic was something related to the reluctancy of commercial banks to lend for SME sector. So
Yes.
actually, I was not able to find enough data to prove the
Okay.
question. So
Right.
then after referring to some materials, I decided to change my topic to the how important the loans are for the SME sector, which has to be disbursed from the commercial banks. So I had to
Right.
change the topic, and I had to change whole the process, and I had to start from the scrap. So
Right.
I was a little bit confused about this theory, sir. I mean, what
Yeah.
sort of
So
theory when it?
Lahiru,
Yeah.
Lahiru, we have already gone through two sessions, no?
Yes. Yes.
Two sessions with me, and I think one more session with some other lecturer. Is it right?
Yes.
Right. Right. So, if you remember, one of the I think so far what I have spoken about, a little bit basic background, how you choose the topic and stuff. So there are fundamental things we discussed last session also. And one of them is that, availability of the data, which is very crucial. Sometimes you have the motivation, you like to do a certain research, but your data is not available freely, because when you are doing a research, you should be able to cite it. What does citation means? Citation means that you need to quote, and it has to be a legal one. I can't just say, see, a commercial bank has made 2 billion profit, because end of the day, your research thesis also a legal document. It can be challenged if necessary. Please remember that. So I think I gave some tips also in that area. I said you all go for a public quoted company. So public quoted company, essentially the data is publicly available. Everything is, maybe you can even comment on that because it's a public quoted company. But in a private limited liability company, you may not be able to give your own opinion as much as a public quoted company, because there is a security concern, conflict of interest concern. So please remember that. That's a very crucial information. Okay, so to answer your question, now how do I select a theory? So in order for you to select a theory, of course, even if you Google the topic today, how do I select a theory for my research? There are ways. There are research done on that. Maybe ideal way for you would have been to read some of them. Let's say, for example, you go here. Okay. How do I select a theory for my MBA research? See, so many articles written, but you don't have that luxury of reading all these things and finding it out. That's the thing. But you can do few things. When before coming to your theory itself, there are some other questions you're already being answered. What is the motivation? What are objectives and the questions? Have you finalized those two?
Yes, I have finalized.
Okay. So can you tell me objectives?
Um,
How many? Is it one or number of objectives?
my motivation is. Shall I
I'm
read it
asking
out?
research question. objectives.
So
If you have
my
not done, it's okay. Have
No,
you
no,
done or not?
yes, I have done. My
Yeah.
objectives are number one is to prove that SME sector lending is so much important for the economy and for especially for the growth of economy. And then the other objective of my research will be to find out the challenges which SME sector is facing when it comes to obtain a loan. And my other objective is to find out solutions to outcome find out solutions to outcome the challenges which both financial institutions and SME sector are facing. Those are the main objectives of my research.
Okay. Okay. See, I mean, from the looks of it, I think your first objective is not that good, but you might want to fine tune. Okay, let's look at second objective. Read the second objective again.
My second objective is to hold on.
You just read it now.
My second objective is to find out why commercial banks are a bit confused. Hold on.
Is it written or are you reading by off the head? Okay, it's okay. So if you do not have, that's fine. Let's say, for example, for the interest of time, we'll say you want to find out how did you start your objective? Can you tell me again? To find out SME sector loans. Okay, looks like so that's the thing. If you do not have a detail, please do not waste others' time also. So how do I research? Select a theory. Theory would be able to explain your core research purpose. Let's say, for example, if it is a marketing related one. So your theory has to be marketing related theory. If your theory is about employee motivation, your theory also should be about employee motivation. And employee motivation, let's say there are hundreds of, maybe thousands of motivational theories available. In that also, each theory would focus on certain areas. Let's say a very popular one, for example, a Maslow's hierarchy of need. A Maslow's hierarchy of need would describe a lifespan and the pattern of a human being and society as it grows or as it develops. So does your research also related to something like that? Or maybe there's another theory which is called XY theory. So your research theory has to be related to your research objectives and the questions. End of the day, your research objectives and questions are the key throughout the research paper being repeatedly discussed. I'll repeat, repeatedly discussed. Again, for example, data analysis or analysis. There are multiple ways to do that. Just type the research questions and the objectives and you answer them in the analysis mode. So during the discussion you take, in order for me to describe this, I've taken so and so theory. And then you also give a brief discussion, introduction about the theory and then try to explain that. I hope I make sense to that question. But I also have to mention here, some of these things actually has to be discussed with your supervisor, research supervisor, because each one of you all will be given an independent research supervisor. So he or she has to guide you through this journey. That is a research vision. Yes, Chamila, briefly, shall we
So actually,
listen to you?
thank you, sir. I selected one topic that's not finalized yet, but I thought it would be great if I can find more details. I think I can find. My topic will be exploring the barriers of digital transformation in Sri Lanka's banking and finance sector.
What did you say? Showing, or did you start by saying?
No, actually, I thought because I'm actually still searching on a topic, but I thought to find
So
out
how did
more about.
you started your research topic?
Because actually, I'm working currently in the finance industry, so I have been in the bank also. So last 20 years to international bank, plus this now currently local finance company.
Right.
So being in this industry, I have seen we are still trying to grow this digital banking or finance in Sri Lanka. Even now, government is so much of funding to this digital sector. So I thought to find out what are the barriers now we are still having, because now there are some rural areas which actually people doesn't use these much or they don't know about much this digital transformation.
Correct.
So, but all again, like Lahiru said, now I have a question. I mean, I have a complicated thing that about this theoretical framework and how should we address on research because some are still, I mean, when I go through some technical words, still new to me, even though I have been in the bank, I have not gone through those words. So how do we need to explain those like theory in first place? Then do we need to align with this theory and with our research, sir?
No, it has to be both. You have to explain and you have to describe also. It has to be done. But as you go on, you will get the clarity, Shamila. And you do not worry about it too much. It's I don't get it, and what theory should I get it? So that is also partly your supervisor's responsibility to guide you. So you will be assigned, as I understand, a supervisor. So that supervisor would directly work with you in order to carry out your research. In fact, my assignment is to just to give you a basic awareness understanding, but I have gone beyond my call of duty and I have tried to explain certain concepts. But I'm happy that at least you all are starting to talk about it, think about it right now, so that it's that's the right way forward.
But then again, sir, now under my objectives, I have actually thought to put some recommendations or like possible strategies to support this digital development in the society. Is that okay? I mean,
that's
down
fine.
in the.
That's fine as long as you can align them to research questions, objectives. That's all right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, Edward, do you have anything?
Yeah, I need to clear something, sir. Actually, the earlier the what about the if the topic might be same with others, is it okay? Because
It's okay.
earlier when he tell about this digital banking transformation, even my topic also, but I have a scope in the northern and eastern part province of
Yeah, I
the.
remember you were talking about it last week also. That's perfectly fine, Edward. Don't worry
Is it
about
okay?
it. Yeah.
Ah,
Because you can narrow
okay.
it down to that is what your research scope can be narrow it down to maybe northern province, maybe certain sector. So it's
Okay.
not the same we are talking about.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think someone else is also wanting to ask a question. Who was that?
Yes, sir, I am Rohini.
Yes, Rohini.
Actually, yeah, actually, my research area would be like now when we consider the banking sector in Sri Lanka,
Okay.
there are LCBs as well as LSBs, licensed
Okay.
specialized banks. Okay,
Right.
so now majority of the banking sector is involved with LCB transactions.
I see.
However, still LSB portion is also there, sir. Right.
Okay.
So when you consider the LSBs, there are mainly 5 competitors.
Okay.
HDFC, SMIB, NSB,
Right.
SDB, and one more RDB.
Okay.
So I think I would like to do a research on mergers and acquisitions of those criteria. I mean, specialized licensed specialized banks.
Okay.
According to my opinion, since NSB is having the majority portion, it's like 62% of the LSB portfolio is with NSB. So the
Okay.
rest of the other part, I mean, like the rest of the 38% is shared between the other 4 banks.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I would like to do a research on probably like merger of the other competitors, other small criteria, sir. So will that
Okay.
be
Okay.
okay?
That is perfectly all right, Rohini. But
Thank
I
you.
think I told this last week also. Again, let me repeat. We are doing
Yeah.
a research because we do not know the answers yet. Please remember that.
Yes, sir.
If you know 100% answers to a question, there is no point of doing a research. Do you understand?
Yeah.
We are doing a research because there is a problem.
Yeah.
So therefore, I would like to find out what exactly going on. That is another type of research. You try to probe and find it out. Or maybe you want to find answers. There's a question, there's a problem. So therefore, I would like to find answers. So that's a different type of research again. So please remember, everybody, if you know 100% answer to a certain things, there is no point of research. There is no research opportunity there. Maybe you have a good problem right now in your hand. So that's a beautiful opportunity for you to do a research. And don't get scared. Okay, I mean, if I don't know, where will I get data? I don't know what is theory, what is the literature. These are all new vocabularies to me. And this is a headache. And I have work, target. How do I do that? Don't worry about it. Now that you have started the journey, there's no point of thinking about some of those questions. I hope I make sense because I wanted to be very clear as possible and also blunt as much as possible so that you will get that into your head. But this can also be very funful. I think you should focus on what is a research, what is this research methodology. For example, now I think you explained me beautifully about a certain scenario, commercial banks and investment banks, portfolios like that. So if you are to say the same thing, if you are to say the same thing in a research language, for example, how will you say? You would say something like, in the year 1999, Samaranayaka has done a research into the commercial and investment banks sector in Sri Lanka, and he had said this banking sector regulatory definitions are not appropriate. Therefore, our final objectives of small and medium banking sector development, governmental objective or budget objectives are not realizing fully. Therefore, And you say this is even more justifiable when we look at the data. And then you say, okay, 2021 like this, 2022, 23, 24, you show data. So when you compare and see these data, it is obvious that the final objectives of the government or the finance ministries does not really match or objectively related to the bank's objective. So that is how you should do a research or write a research or talk about research. Then of course you keep on. This research is a story. But it's just that the way that you tell story may be a bit different. And as you go on, you might say, now you want to justify this with global thinking pattern, think tanks. How do you say? And then you take a related theory. In the year 1895, Albert Bandura had said the social, social banking has two variables or two definitions. And then therefore, I do not believe, or there is no evidence for us to prove that we have in fact considered any one of them. Right? So that is how you start writing. That is how you building up your case. Did that make sense?
Yes, sir, but I have a small doubt. That's what I just wanted to clarify, sir. Actually, now when you consider these LSP banks, especially Housing Development Financing Corporation, that means HDFC Bank was installed to cater the housing purpose. Whereas this SMIB is catered to, facilitate SME sector, and RDB also for regional development, right? But all those things are catered by National Savings Bank, NSB. Ultimately, earlier days, LSBs were installed merely for the savings purpose and to cater the small and medium entrepreneurs, right? But nowadays, they have changed there's a paradigm shift. Now, NSB, these days, NSB is even handling foreign exchange also. So, rather going only with the savings purpose, now they have changed their mandate. So, that's why actually there's a problem in that, right?
What is the problem?
They are to cater the savings purpose, but now they are not doing that savings build up purpose. So that is the problem, sir. That is why I thought
why is it a problem?
Now they have been installed. LSPs were installed in Sri Lanka to cater the savings purpose, no, sir.
No, but they have changed the mandate. You said they have changed the mandate.
They have changed the mandate, means now they have obtained the regulators' permissions to do even foreign exchange transactions. NSP.
So what's the problem?
So now they were initially installed to cater the savings purpose, no, sir. So now they are doing the LSP business.
What is the problem? You don't
problem
like
is now. No. That's not like that. So, now the problem here is LSB were catered to. Savings.
So let me tell you, Rohini, your problem is that you're saying that definition of LSB or what is the other one?
LCB, sir.
LCB. So so you sounds like you have a problem with the definition itself.
Yes. Definition itself.
So do a research on that and say if it is the case. I don't know. But remember, in commercial world, these things can change. I know there are certain banks have changed their mandates, Not only banks, even the finance companies have changed their mandates, just that they cannot take current account. Everything else is possible for them. Also, some of the finance companies today, and which may be the right way forward.
Yeah.
So you can't argue on that, but maybe you can research and see is the way that we define our investment banking portfolio, commercial banks, for example, or any other finance companies. Is it right? Or is there any other way of doing that? For that, you need to compare and research and see how other markets, how other countries in the financial markets do that. Or maybe you need to study literature review and see what exactly is the finance company's definition. Or maybe you propose, see, our country's definitions or the interpretations of finance companies are wrong. So that will be a very good finding if you can prove.
Okay.
For that, you need to do literature review on that.
Okay, sir.
You get? Right. But
Yeah, I
anyways,
got your point.
I think
Thank
we had a good discussion, and but I 1 second. Mahesh, I think I should thank you because you have shared the research topic and the research rationale. Would you like to talk briefly on that?
Yes, sir. You may remember, sir, when your first day I mentioned my topic is cybercrime.
Yes.
But I realized that it's a little broader one, so I narrowed that to impact of digital scams in banking sector. Hello, sir. Sir, can you hear me? Can you hear me, please?
We can hear you.
We can hear you, Mahesh.
Hello, sir. Sir, are you there?
I'm extremely sorry, Mahesh. I had something. I'm sorry about it. So please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, my topic, I narrowed my topic, cybercrime to impact of digital scams in banking sector.
Right.
So, digital scams now have become very critical factor in, especially in banking side.
I see. Okay.
So
Why is it so important?
a lot of people, even not only the even educated people, get caught on this digital scams these days is commonly happening.
Right.
So people's trust on banking sector will be going down with these digital scams.
Okay. I think, Mahesh, I have received your paper also, which is all right. Now, now that you have to think like a researcher, not like a banker, Mahesh. I
Yes,
think your
yes,
banker awareness and the knowledge is very much there, and you are very good at it. So it's just that you need to start thinking like a researcher. For example, you just said that lots of people are getting caught to digital crimes.
yes,
Okay, and you have to
yes.
show the data. That's exactly why I asked
Okay,
how you say. You have to show the data.
okay, sir.
See, for example, in the 2024, this many cases, 25, this many cases, 2023, these cases. So that will prove. And
Okay, sir.
maybe you take, if you go back to 2000, maybe 0.
Okay,
So there is a genuine case. There's a problem. We need to find out what exactly going on. You understand?
yes, sir. Yes.
And then, I mean, it gets fun. I mean, what is digital scam means? You have to explain. You have to explain in
Okay.
terms of the research.
Yes,
Maybe in the
understand.
past, in the year 2020 or somewhere, so and so person has done a research on this, and they say, as per him, digital scam is this. Because
Okay, sir.
then you will, in the research language itself, you will explain whether what is there in your mind and also what exactly digital scam means as per the research concepts are the same or not. You understand,
Okay, sir.
Mahesh?
Yes, sir.
Right. So that's how you have to think. I think it's okay. I mean, I've seen, gone through your paper, and it sounds good, and I like the way that you have at least approached it. But just that you have to start thinking like a researcher now, not like a banker. So when
Okay,
you
sir.
are starting thinking like a researcher, you will ask the bankers and get the data, try to prove, try to sort of debate some of the concept you have. So, but thank you, because you have sent it. I wanted to take a few minutes, and I really appreciate your work. I'm sure you
Thank
will
you.
do a good job there. All right,
Thank you,
let's
sir.
go through some of the slides today. We are almost 1 hour now. We have had a discussion, but this is a very healthy discussion. We learned quite a lot. See, when I teach students like you, I also learn quite a lot. It would have been best in the classroom session where we can have real interactive sessions. But stay focused on your research supervisors, because research supervisors, most of the things that I spoke in earlier today in the class, are supposed to discuss with the supervisor and by the supervisor. They are supposed to guide, and I'm here only supposed to introduce some of the concepts. But I know, and I've seen lots of students how they sort of struggle in between the research. That's exactly why I took some personal interest to take you through. Okay, so these are some of the objectives that I intend to do today in this slide. I'll take these slides a bit fast because with the interest of time, we have overall, I think I have been given 5 sessions. Now this is the 3rd session. Here we'll try to understand the importance of the literature review. And how do you do the critical literature review? Demonstrate the process to conduct, how do we really do a record literature, for example, and how do we really narrow it down, identify some of the important factors, etc. Okay, so what is a literature review? Literature review in the 2012, Redley wrote a book or wrote a research paper, and then later on it converted to a book saying step-by-step guide for students for research and literature review. So in that it says a structured analysis of existing research relevant to the specific topic. You see that? A structured analysis of existing research relevant to a specific topic. Who says that? Redley. And it says identifies gaps. This is very interesting. Sometimes you have certain story, but in between there's something missing. So those are called gaps. Those gaps we also identify in terms of three, it could be literature gap, it could be theoretical gap, it could be practice gap. So gaps also there are multiple ways. So Redley says identifies gaps, trends. In the literature review, when you review the literature, if you do a comprehensive literature review, it helps you to identify the trends in particular specific topic. And of course, the key theories. Now you all had some questions. How do I, sir? Everything else is okay. How do I really find the theory? But if you go through some of those research papers, articles, I understood that Next Campus has already uploaded or they're going to upload research papers into your Moodle, no? If not, you ask them. Probably they will do it sooner. But that's where you should do. Just like you read your Facebook, go through your Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Keep on reading research papers, at least for the next few months. Okay, also Redley said that provides the context and the justification for your own study. See that? How beautiful it is. Actually, this slide itself, we can talk about days. This is just from Redley's paper. What is the paper name? A literature review, a step-by-step guide for students. Download this paper if possible. Download and read it. Read again and again. I'm sure you can download, and some of you all can afford to pay and download if it is payable. So it will help you. So what is literature review? A structured analysis of existing research relevant to a specific topic. It identifies gaps, trends, debates, and key theories, and it provides context and the justification for your own study. Is it clear? You are also a bunch of people who only ask questions. You never respond. Anyway, so what and where can I find the literature? If this is what literature review is, where can I find them? I think I spoke about it last week also. Where can we find literature? Okay, so here are the places that we can find literature. Academic journals. I'm not going to repeat what academic journals is. You should be very well aware of academic journals right now. Industry journals. There are industry specific journals available. Second, please. Yeah, so another place to find the literature is industry journals. Let's say, for example, if you are a chartered accountant, you will have your own Chartered Accountants Association's journals. If you are an engineer, you will have Engineers Association journals. Likewise, industry journals available. And then there are plenty of online resources available, like what I showed you earlier in the Google Scholars. I mean, don't Google it, please. It's not Google, Google Scholars. And then, of course, textbooks and conference papers. Conference papers, different academic institutions such as universities, local and both foreign, they conduct conference. Now, if you are a good researcher, ideally you should be able to submit abstract to one of those conferences, just to see if your paper, if your question, if your argument is validated, because they will ask questions. They will try to push you. Through that, you will improve. So those conference papers also a place where you can find literature. And newspapers and magazine, of course, are there. Especially in social researches, you can get some data, or maybe you can cite certain situations through newspapers and magazines also. So this is where we can find literature. Okay, why? What is the purpose of literature review? I think we spoke about it also. Here are some of the highlights. It highlights flaws, gaps in previous research. If you do a proper literature review, it'll help you to understand the gaps in terms of what are some of the past research gaps. Now, I also told when you do your research paper towards the end, you will not be able to perhaps 100% cover the scope. Therefore, you will say for the future researchers, maybe it is good to find out what exactly in certain areas is. You say that. So that becomes a research area for a newcomer, a future researcher. So likewise, there may be so many gaps in the past literature reviews. And also, the purpose of a literature review is to show that work is adding to understanding and the knowledge of the field. Please remember, now you are at the master's level, and especially at the research master's level, one of the fundamental purpose you are doing is to create knowledge, not to learn. Huh? Please remember that. You are not doing this MBA to learn. You are in fact creating a new knowledge. If you are learning, it's already there in this world, somewhere in the textbook. But ideally, your research should be a brand new knowledge. That's an ideal scenario. I mean, you will see how successfully you will be able to do that. But that's how a researcher's journey is about. Does that make sense to you all? When I say what is new knowledge?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. And also another purpose is that help refine, refocus, or even change the topic itself. Now, as some of you all have started the research topic, and you yourself realize, so when I started doing this, I realized that the topic is not right. I got to change. It's okay, and it has to happen also. It's an ongoing journey until the last submission. There is no legal barrier for you to change the topic. It's possible, but provided your supervisor agrees to that. Please remember that your supervisor is the sole authority of approving, changing, discussing, all that. Please remember that. So your supervisor is one of the key factors for your success. And another purpose of literature review is also to demonstrate your familiarity with the field. Excuse me. So when you do this literature review, if you write a good literature review chapter, it will also should demonstrate that he knows what he's talking about. Let's imagine now most of you all are from the banking sector. There are inherent knowledge, and you already have your own tacit knowledge by working in the same industry or on the same job for a period of time. You have gathered certain experiential knowledge that has to be demonstrated through your literature review process also. Another purpose of literature review is that you be able to express the matters better than you could have done. See, you may have noticed now earlier also, whenever you say something, I ask the question, how do you say so? And who said so? So when you think like that, you in fact express the matters better than you could have done, just like a layman. If you ask a normal individual, I mean, they will also explain in a certain or similar manner. But you as a researcher should be able to explain it in a differently, adding certain values in terms of the research and the past knowledge, combining with your finding. So it's a new knowledge. So you, in fact, explains it better than you could have done it without it. Also, a review and critical analysis of literature in your chosen subject area. So if you select certain area, particular area, you're critically analyzing it, not being biased towards your own thinking. If you be biased of your own thinking that, oh, okay, SME sector in Sri Lanka is growing at a 6%, whether you help them or whether you have not helped them. If you're biased and if you're fixed in your mind, you will not do a research. But you will be open in your mind that you want to find out, okay, what is the phase that can grow SME sector? Students, please remember, if you do some of these topics very well, you don't have to work for the bank anymore. You can just work for one of those funded projects, World Bank, IMF. They all are daily doing this research, especially into areas that you are talking about, in order for them to fund policy making. They want to know the details, research, find out the truth. That's why some of those research companies today, consultancy firms, are earning millions and billions. Okay, so another purpose of literature review is to critically analyze of literature on your own chosen subject area. And another purpose is emphasis on academic literature. Now, literature is also available into different forms, but we are talking about academic literature here, because you are, in fact, doing an academic work right now. It provides a basis or theoretical underpinning for research questions and the research designs. Right? So if you see somewhere as a theoretical underpinning, that means research basic or theoretical basis. Please understand that. Okay, I've got a small video clip. Let's watch that also. I thought this is very clear and explains it well. Let us. Okay, so this is not, for example, this is. Oh no, this is not the video. Now, this is actually, I wanted you all to sort of get familiar with the high index research articles. Emerald Insights is one of the high index journals. So I have included this link about the literature review itself. So some of your questions can be answered here. Only thing this is, you'll have to pay or you'll have to access through university link. Ask your university. If not, you'll have to pay $41 to download this article. I think you can access through your university web portal. Please check with them. Okay, so now this is what we all are struggling with. You all are struggling with. You have an idea, but how do you really convert it into a research? Questions and objective. That's exactly what I was trying to do with you all. Start with a general interest or problem area. Try and describe in general terms. narrow it to a specific issue. And define the aim. What do you want to explore? Draft research questions. What do you want to find out? Define research objectives. Right? So this is what I've been asking you to do last 2 weeks. Some of you all have come halfway through. So yes, Shamila.
So small thing. Now, on the second point, narrow it to the specific issue. Now, if I look at my topic, explore the barriers of digital transformation in banking and finance sector. Now, can I go to the this should be actually I'm thinking about payments platforms. So if I go
No.
the
Shamila, see, I think we don't want to get into that detailed discussion here, but you have to write your story first of all. Now, what you just said is the narrowed down topic itself.
Okay.
You understand? So, what you perhaps do is to explain what it is there in your mind. Write that without thinking about aim, without thinking about the questions or objectives. Just write the story, entire thing. It could be 1 paper, it could be 2 papers. And then try and find out, okay, what are my aims here? And what are my really questions? Okay, Jamila?
Yeah, now actually I was trying to ask you, sir, then now if you can go to the marketing level as well now, transformation of this digital transformation to the marketing level also has been a problem now. So can we address that as well, including the payment platform?
It is
when you talk
possible.
about
There is no limit fixed in the research scope. If you are able to do your research within this time frame, it's okay. I really cannot answer whether can or cannot because I do not know what is your research, for example, sample. I don't know what's your research methodology. So all that has to be considered before answering that question. That's why I said with your supervisor only you'll have to discuss and agree on some of these things. But to make your life easy only, I asked you all to do this exercise. You write it down, then you will ask yourself these questions. Okay, I wanted to do this research marketing. It's okay, but who is my sample size? Is it all island? Is it a globe? Is it only district? Is it only Western province? You remember one of your colleagues said that now Northern province. So that is a scope. It's narrowing down. That's how you do a research.
okay,
And
thank you.
yeah. So, okay. So from idea to questions is start with a general interest or problem area, narrow it to a specific issue, define the aim, what do you want to explore, and then of course draft research questions, and define objectives. And these things can change as your research journey continues. Agree with your supervisor. First of all, have a good conversation, understand your research questions, scope and stuff, then it's easy. And the role of theory in forming the research. I think one of you all had a question here also. Because why is the theory important? Because it gives an academic ground into your research. I'll again mention, now you have to start thinking like a researcher, not like a banker, or not like a marketeer, not like any other person. Start thinking like a researcher. Right? So another importance factor for theory in research is help you to identify variables and relationships. Now, in whatever the area that you are intending to do a research on, you will have variables to compare. No? For example, if somebody is doing a research to find out how pay scales or different types of payments impact the employee motivation. So what is the independent variable? independent variable is employee motivation. What are the dependent variables? It could be salary, it could be bonus, it could be allowances, it could be the car. Did you all understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now you might think, it's okay, it's easy. But you have to find it out whether it is what I'm thinking is right or wrong. What you do? You ask questions, you talk to employees and do a survey and find out. Or maybe survey can be quantitative or qualitative. So that's how you do a research. You try to identify the variables and the relationships. In the process, you need a theory. And provides framework for interpreting findings. Now, once you find out certain things through your research, large part of a very good part of your research is interpretation of the data or the concept or your findings. In the process, you need to ask or you need to compare with your research, right? Okay, have you all, now I was planning to do an activity. I don't think that we have time for that, but have you all, or if somebody has at least think about a theory, can you just tell me, name the theories? If at all, if you all have already thought about it. Has someone thought about a theory already? Malisha?
So I'm
Rohini?
also having a problem thinking about the theory about this, about my research.
Yeah, so go through your today's presentation again and then you will select a theory. And
Yeah,
it's not
because
that difficult, I mean.
credit management, credit quality, and so that we'll have to go to that Compario likewise.
No, think about, credit management is the area that you are doing, but what is your research objectives? Research objective is to find out the effectiveness of the credit management, for example.
Yeah,
Then
with the
you have to
credit
find a theory which can explain the effectiveness of credits. You understand?
Yeah. Credit. Right, sir. Okay, I got it. I'll take on next time.
And Rohini, have you think about a theory? Ravindu, how about you? Vajira Sampath? All right. Okay, so and how do we really write research aims and rationale? Now, if you have done my exercise, this would have been easy piece for you all to answer. First and foremost, you try and figure out what is overall purpose of your study. For example, to find out customer behavior change to the digital marketing in Sri Lankan commercial bank sector in the Western province. And then, of course, what is your rationale? Explain why this topic matters. You do some readings and say there are researchers has done in the global scenario, but in Sri Lankan context, no one has done research. Or maybe if someone has done, you have to say they have done into so and so area, but it's not yet comprehensive. I am trying to fill that gap. Practical gap. You have to give some examples of in the practical scenario. That is your own experience, you will say. And personal motivation. You believe that, if you find solutions for this topic, it will add value into these areas. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, shall we do this quickly? So this is a rationale for a graph. Remote working has become a global norm post COVID-19. However, its impact on employee motivation, particularly in developing countries, remains under-researched. This study aims to investigate this gap by focusing on Sri Lankan banking sector. What could be the one-line research rationale for this? Take a minute and then let's talk. Okay, shall we go through? What do you all think? Ramendra, what do you think?
So it's something, the impact on the post-COVID for the employees' motivation and motivation.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Understand how remote working influences employees' motivation. Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay. Understand how remote work
Working influences employees' motivation.
employees motivation. Okay. Any other thing? Thoughts? Yeah, go ahead. All right. So like that, I think understanding the employee motivation impact on the remote work. So likewise, you should be able to explain the scenario. So here are some of the examples given. This study aims to explore the impact of remote working on employee motivation in Sri Lankan banking sector in the post-COVID-19 context. See that? This is what the task was. So there is somebody saying that remote work has become a global norm post-COVID-19, which we all know. However, its impact on employee motivation, particularly in developing countries, remains under research. This study aims to investigate this gap by focusing on Sri Lankan banking sector. So rationale could be this study aims to explore. So that also says that this is going to be exploratory research. The impact of remote work working on employee motivation in Sri Lankan banking sector in the post-COVID-19 context. And another one, same thing, another rationale could be, this study aims to critically examine. Now here it is exploratory. This is a different type of research. That's the only difference. Critically examine how remote working has influenced employees' motivation within Sri Lankan banking sector following the COVID-19 pandemic. See that? I hope it's clear and it helps you all. And at least some of you all did not make an attempt to give an answer. I always tell students there are no right or wrong answers. This is just an experience that we learn from each other. Please remember. So now the critical questions to ask when reading an article. Now reading an article also, you can't just like that read like a newspaper or novel. You have to keep journals or record on some of the findings in the research paper itself and keep on reading. So what are some of the critical factors? Why am I reading this? You have to ask yourself. You need to have a good answer for this question. You have to think about your own research area, what you are doing currently as a job, and also your degree, etc. And then you find an answer. Okay, I'm doing an MBA or master's degree or master of science degree in this one. Right now I'm working like this person and this is the area. Then once you have answers to that questions, you might even decide whether to read or not to read at the beginning. And what are the authors trying to do in this writing? You have to find out what that particular author's objectives were, or motivations were. It will explain in the beginning of the research paper itself. They will tell why they were motivated to do that research paper. What are the authors saying that relevant to what I want to find out? Now that you have your own aim, what do these authors say about it? You try to find out. One of the areas to find that out is keywords. How convincing is what the authors are saying? Does it sound truth to you? Or does it sound like, oh, it's not a practical scenario that she's trying to explain? It's beyond the reality of this world. Or is it the reality? And how is this related to what other authors have said about the subject? Right? In conclusion, what use can I make of this? Okay, here are some of the ways to do the literature review. When you read an article, I think I showed you an Excel sheet. No, you can find record. There are multiple AI tools also available today's world, but you can have a simple Excel sheet where you record. First, you write down the topic name and then authors and then keywords. Maybe summarize what exactly they are trying to say in the research paper. Once you have the junk data, it's a matter of summarizing. Synthesizing is that, you further summarize. And then you compare with when you have 10 articles written by different authors and you have recorded them, you can compare. Okay, one person says customer service is so and so, and another person says customer service is some completely different. So therefore, you can also add your thing there. So that is the critic. That becomes a critic. Right? Okay, here is the video that I was talking about. Okay, let's listen to that. Pay your attention.
Imagine conducting every part of your research only on one platform. Meet Vorium, because when you do a literature review, there's going to be so many details, so much information. Your job is to highlight the big points, the big messages. And there's no simple magic formula for that. But by breaking down and analyzing the data, you will see these themes and trends start to emerge to the fore, and you can use AI tools to help give you this check. So here you can see almost as well an idea of how an extraction can help you to see patterns. Now, you can see this as methods used. It's not really doing a good job of extracting the methods. The methods might be, the method here is case studies. Well, we did case study on Myanmar's community-based midwives. So it doesn't really extract that well. Let me show you another example of what a formalized extraction table looks like, so you can understand. And I'll show you one that one of our students has been working on. So here's an example of an extraction sheet where you might strip out specific components. Well, what was the study design? Here was a paper looking at inequalities, what racial comparisons were being made. What was the inequality measure? What did they find? And again, it's just forensically going through and pulling out key elements so that when you look across the papers, this student could start seeing patterns. Oh, well, the East Coast had higher inequalities than the West Coast. The inequalities between Black and white were worse than those between Hispanic and white. Other insights that you just couldn't see by looking at one paper alone. A more formal way of doing this, just for your own knowledge as a side note, is called meta-analysis, when you might go so far as using these articles as data and turn them into a quantitative data set that you fully reanalyze. Most of you that's more advanced, you could definitely do it, but get the lit review done, and then let's move on to some of these more advanced techniques where we integrate quantitative tools or other advanced analytical instruments. Sometimes you don't even need them to get a big payoff in terms of what you find. Notice, again, that's the principle. AI can help, but is it necessary? No. Can it help you go faster? If you don't use it in the right way, you could even feel more lost and lose more time. Finally, with this writing up, you need to have a system for writing. And so many students, maybe they got taught some writing in high school, but by now they've long forgotten it. And they're just writing. They have no idea what they're writing, why they're writing, what goes where. So fundamentals, you need structure, you need an outline. Of course, we talked about that. But we recommend a peer system. And the peer system just breaks down the most basic unit of an academic paragraph, where each paragraph makes one point and is broken into peer. And we call this like a mini hamburger model because it's kind of like hamburger with a bun and the meat in between and then the other bun at the end. And so the P of peer is the one big point. Each paragraph should make one big point. Then stuffed inside your burger, you're going to have evidence and examples, your TUEs of peer. Evidence, examples. So right, evidence, examples, pack that in there and you need to explain it. And then you come to an R, which is your repeating or linking point to flow into the next paragraph. I've got other videos where I go through lots of academic text showing this format, showing this system and how it's common again and again and again. Makes it really easy for your readers to follow because your big point of the paragraph is going to be right up at the top. So, for example, you might have a paragraph that says, the war in Ukraine has been devastating. Okay, well, you kind of know what that paragraph is going to be about. What's coming next? Well, you can even foreshadow. Well, I'm going to give you some evidence and examples of that. Over 10 million people have lost their lives. I'm making up a number. No offense to anybody, wherever you stand on this side of the war. This is not a political channel. I know it's impossible to be completely apolitical, but I don't want to go through a long discussion about Foucault. All right. So, so evidence examples, 10 million people have died. Maybe the explanation is the deaths have come not so much from direct, war casualties, but indirect consequences like damage to sanitation, sewer systems, and associated knock-on consequences like infectious diseases. And if this, now you've got your repeating or linking sentence, and if this war continues, the consequences will likely grow larger if, I don't know, NATO doesn't take urgent steps to intervene. And that might flow to your next paragraph then talking about the global response to the war. But notice, that keeps things simple. I see so many hamburgers that are just like stuff. I got some bacon and egg and beetroot and mushroom and just too much stuff in the burger. It's not tasty anymore. So keep it focused, keep it lean and mean. One big point each paragraph. You need a writing system. This is, again, where ChatGPT can help you. And in the background, I'm working on creating a custom GPT for all of you that you can use that embeds our peer system. But take your paper and your draft and upload it to ChatGPT and add.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done.
All right, I thought it's a simple, but it explains some of the things that we spoke about. Especially I would like you all to look at that Excel sheet where you record after reading research papers. That's how you should do that. I mean, it's a very comprehensive one, what he showed. You don't have to do that, and you don't I think you do have time to do that also. Within 6 months, you have to complete the entire research. Therefore, but you can at least do some of the fundamental recordings and the analysis part of it. I hope it helps you out. Okay, so now next comes the drafting your literature chapter, because in your research, there's one whole chapter you're supposed to write about the literature review itself. So that can consist of all these subtopics: introduction, literature on the topic itself, and then literature on topic itself. Now, maybe if you have different concepts or the variables, depending on the number of variables you have, this can go on. And then discussion of existing literature on the topic, concepts and the variables that were discussed previously. And then gaps in existing of the literature itself, not about the topic, not about your argument, but on the literature itself, there can be quite a lot of gaps. And then okay, so gaps in the existing literature review related to the topic, and then conceptual framework. I do not know whether you are ready to do the conceptual framework right now, but at least you have to discuss with your supervisor about it. Conceptual framework would explain the entire story that we were discussing so far in the days. It would connect to your research questions, objectives, and also the theories, and then it will also explain why you do that way. So it's just a graph, arrows, etc. It can be a very simple one also with 2 variables. And then of course the conclusion. So your literature review chapter should comprise of all these things. It can be 10 pages, it can also be 3 pages, depending on your richness of your content and all the context of the discussion itself. Is it clear? Any questions so far? All right, so if no more questions, let's move on. Now, see this one, this is again an example that I wanted to show you. And notice the things that are mentioned in the arrows. The connection between different authors, students' idea or the voice itself, and the further readings and deeper development of analysis. So notice those things also. So it goes like this. This paper brings together, the moment you see that, it sounds like a different authors work in 2 areas of motivation. According to Robbins et al., 1998, the early theories of motivation were, okay, that is, who says this? This is the writer or the student himself or herself, concerned with need satisfaction. Current thinking, however, does not discount these theories, but simply builds upon them to include a self-concept. Leonard Buas and Sohill, 1999, again authors, argues that there are 3 elements to self-perception. Right, so these papers the students has read, and then we try to connect to this one. See that? This is the skill of academic writing. And there are 3 elements of self-perception. How he says that? By comparing this. They propose that these 3 elements can be seen as a further development of Unson's original concept of money as motivator. Right? although it is a very simple, small paragraph with maybe 5 to 6 lines in it, it's a very rich in content and context. This is how your writing also should sound, at least towards the end of your research journey. In the beginning, I do not expect that to happen. It takes time, skills, and experience to get there. But as you continue to do, I'm sure you will get there. So what are some of the learnings here? Integrates the research of a number of authors, shows different ideas have been addressed. It also demonstrates wide reading has been carried out into the topic. It's an example of critically analyzing the literature. Is it clear? Any questions? All right, so if no questions, right? Actually, I was, in the past, I usually do this, taking some time in the classroom itself, trying to answer these questions. But at least you can probably do self-studies. We have already done some conversations and the discussions in the classroom. What is exactly the main argument of this entire paragraph? To find out. And when you have an answer to that questions, how do you really justify that, or what evidence do you have for that? Are there any biasness or assumptions? As a researcher, you cannot be biased. You may be working in that bank for 20 years. You may be doing the same job repeatedly for over the years. But that does not qualify for you to become a researcher on that particular topic itself. Please remember that. That can in fact be a disadvantage, because if you are an independent researcher, you would think like an independent person. You will ask all the questions. You don't have biasness. I think for most of you all, that can be a bit of a challenge, but that's how you improve also. How recent and relevant the sources. Yeah, especially when you cite some of the data, it has to be very relevant and in the recent past. Otherwise, your argument may be not relevant to the time of discussion. And then, of course, how does it relate to my research questions or objectives? One, contrasting views exist. Okay, so now here are some of the examples that I mentioned here. Okay, descriptive reading. What does descriptive reading means? With related to leadership styles. Now, leadership styles is a very common topic I've taken. So if you look at in terms of the descriptive reading, a transformational leadership is a style where leaders inspire and motivate employees to exceed expectations, says Bass in 1985. Actually, this research paper is a beautiful one. Even without this research, you can, if you are personally interested, you can go through that. Nicely done one. So there is descriptive reading and critical reading. Just observe the words and the patterns of the readings itself. Although Bass 1985 advocates for transformational leadership as an effective motivator, more recent empirical studies, example, Torish 2013 argues that the model often lacks practical grounding in power dynamics and may idealize leadership without addressing real world organizational constraint. So that's a very critical way of looking at the same thing. Did you notice the difference between two? Okay, another one. Now here we spoke about leadership style. Now this is work-life balance. A descriptive reading, a citation would go like, Greenhouse and Allen 2011 describe work-life balance as the extent to which individuals are equally engaged in and satisfied with their work and family roles. Simple, straightforward, but very comprehensive statement. This was the research finding of Allen and Greenhouse in 2011. So the same thing when you go for critical reading, Greenhouse and Allen 2011 defined definition of work-life balance is useful, but it assumes a static equilibrium between work and personal life. This is challenged by Clark in 2000, work and family broad theory, which emphasize, see that? So now somebody is trying to challenge this finding using a theory related to the same topic. See, if you really look at now, this is 2011, the research paper. This is in fact 2000. So this, whoever is writing this paragraph is telling, citing this theory, try to challenge the finding. It's okay. And both, this does not qualify Allen's work, by the way, disqualify Allen's work. It is still a good research paper, which emphasizes the fluidity and complexity of role integration in modern work environments. So he may have done some research into the modern work environment and said some things about the fluidity of it. Okay, I hope this helps. So the examples of writing a literature review. Can you all take a minute and read it through by yourself? Okay. I mean, this is an example. You all can go through it, try and understand the connection, how they have cited the past research work. I'll read one of the paragraphs, the second one. There is much discussed on the cross-cultural influence on human resources development in various unique cultural contexts, drawing on perspectives from different cultures. McLaren's and Wang 2007, Banda and Mapol Lomoka 2018 had said that. So he's telling this statement, citing from these researchers' research papers. When designing training methods, it is important to make it culturally relevant. Who says that? Again, Banda and this person. To be effective, Horton in 2000 cited in Albert and Charles. So he cited these two authors and suggest on a study of universal design for a culturally diverse e-learning that for training, education, learning to be successful, the training design should concur with the global cultural difference. So he says, for training to be effective, should concur with the global cultural differences. Training is defined as the systematic acquisition of skills, rules, concepts, or attitudes that results in improved performance in another environment in the perspective of trainees. Right? So, because what is training also has to be defined. So it is also defined. Who, citing certain researchers in 2002. So this is a very high index research literature or example of literature review writing. I do not expect you all to be so exhaustive, but it's important that you understand how a good literature review and write-up looks like. What is conceptual framework in research? A conceptual framework is visual narrative representing of a key concepts, variables, and their relationships that are central to your research study. It serves as roadmap that guides the research process by linking theory to empirical inquiry. The purpose of a conceptual framework: to clarify your research problem, to define the key concepts and the variables, to illustrate relationships between variables, to guide the development of research questions and hypotheses, to help design the methodology, to concept your study with existing theories and the literature. What are some of the components in the conceptual framework? You will have independent variables, and then you will also have dependent variables. You remember I was talking about employee motivation and the payment, independent variable and dependent variable. Moderating, interventing variables. I mean, sometimes you will have in between ones. So these influence the strength of directions of the relation between independent and dependent variables. For example, now take the same example of payment or the salaries and the benefits and the employee motivation. So what are some of the moderating or intervening variables can be? Maybe seasonal payment, incentives, sales incentives, etc. And then, of course, another component would be theoretical foundation. Of course, arrows or links where you explain from one variable to another. What is the relationship? Is it direct relationship, indirect relationship, dotted line, both arrows or single arrow? Right? So what are some of the steps to develop a conceptual framework? Review the literature, literature, identify what has been studied in the past, identify key variables, define the relationships, choose theoretical basis, draw the frameworks. Now see, this may sound like a very sort of, typical academic difficult work, but it's very easy. I always tell students, you get the first thing right, get the concept into your head first time right, you will do a beautiful work. I'm listening to some of your topics. I can see there are some very good research areas in your heads. Okay, let's say your research is on the impact of leadership styles on employee performance, with the job satisfaction as a moderating or mediating variable. So leadership style is independent variable and employee performance is dependent variable. Job satisfaction becomes the mediator. So the tips for strong conceptual framework: keep it aligned with your research questions and objectives. That's why I repeatedly asked about research questions and the objectives. Ensure it is theory driven and not your sort of emotional driven, opinion based. Use existing research to justify your choice. Make sure it is specific and manageable. Narrow down the research. Like one of your colleagues also I mentioned, only for the northern province, for example, or Jaffna district. It's okay. Conceptual versus theoretical framework. Your focus should be in conceptual framework specific to your study. Theoretical framework, broader existing theory or model. Components, variable and relationships, theories and principles when it comes to theoretical framework. The role of conceptual framework is to research design and hypothesis building. When it comes to theoretical framework, foundational support and lens for study. It will show you the different lenses from the different lenses. Same thing, but you can see. And referencing, of course, very important. I'm sure you must have had a first session in terms of the academic writing and stuff. If not, please ask the question. Go through the manuals. I think your referencing style is Harvard style. So Harvard has got its own referencing style. That's all the content I have. Let me show you the referencing. I think I may have shown in the past, but for the benefit of it. Now, let's say, for example, you go to the Google Scholar and then you want to find out banking, digital banking, and you read, let's say you decided to cite this one. This one has got a good citation, cited by 363 people. So you read this article and then you decide to cite from this. How do you do that? You go here, cite. And in the site, you see this. You have MLA, APA style, Chicago, Harvard, Vancouver. So this is your style. You just click on that and then you copy and paste there. Same thing is written differently. Now you see APA is when we get comma, L, comma, Lee. Here, comma, Lee. And the way that the year is written within bracket is APA. Here there is no bracket. So that's a different style, writing style. So when the reviewer takes the document, they will notice it immediately. So pay attention to that. All right, so that's all the content I have. Any questions?
So only the reference style should be Harvard, or the whole thing should be like
Everything has to be Harvard. But referencing is the thing that you do from the beginning till the end. When I say referencing, it is not the one that you typed in the end of the document. Even citation reference also. Let's say within bracket, if you put in the first paragraph, you will get caught. If it is Harvard.
So are we doing the Harvard? We'll have to ask next one.
You go through your manual and see what is it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So thank you for listening patiently, and I hope it helps. Thank you for some of the people who asked the questions, gave their opinion. It helps. As I always tell, it's a learning experience. It's not about one-way traffic. And do some work, dedicate some hours in the week, read. If you have any questions, probably next time you can ask. So wish you all the best, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, guys.